Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I will show you 3 different techniques of cast on styles today. First, I will go over long tail cast on. Second, cable cast on. And third is going to be thumb method cast on. You will need a knitting needle and any yarn of your choice. So let's begin the tutorial. Alright guys, to demonstrate how to cast on, I have taken this multicolor yarn and I have taken size 7 knitting needles. I am going to start with long tail cast on. So in order to do a long tail cast on, we have to first determine how much yarn we need. It depends on your projects. If you are working on a smaller project, you might need a smaller yarn, smaller tail here. But if you're working on a bigger project, you're gonna need new. Suppose you need 16 stitches, 16 cast-ons. Then what you can do is first you can take this light yarn. Take a spare here like this, and then you're gonna have to wrap around your yarn like this to determine how much yarn you might need. So suppose I need 16 stitches. I'm going to very lightly, I'm going to increase my here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly, not very tight, I'm going to just wrap around my yarn like this and continue counting them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So I can estimate that in order to cast on 16 stitches, I'm going to be needing this much yarn. I'm just going to take some extra yarn just in case. So I'm going to start with the cast on. So in order to start with my long tail cast on, I'm gonna have to first create a slip stitch. In order to create a slip stitch, what I'm going to do is from the point where we have determined that we need the tail. So I'm going to make a slip knot right here. I'm going to wrap around my yarn like this, and I'm going to get my finger inside here and pull and make a knot. And I'm going to put this in my needle here, and I'm going to make sure that this is tight. Okay, so now we can start our cast on. For the long tail cast on, you want to make sure that your tail has to be on this side. So you're going to take your slip stitch, turn around, and put it back in. Our tail yarn is on this side, and our working yarn that's coming from the ball is on this side. So we are going to hold our yarn like this. You want to hold it tight. Okay. Now remember, this is the tail yarn. It has to be on this side, on your thumb side, and this has to be on your index finger side like this. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to insert our needle like this. Okay, and then pull the yarn from the other side like this, and we're going to make it slightly tight. Don't make it too tight, but make sure your work is nice and it's sturdy. Okay, I'm gonna show you again in slow motion. Have your tail yarn on this side and this on the index finger side. Okay guys, now I'm gonna hold it like this, and I'm going to pull my yarn through like this, and I'm gonna bring the loop out from the other index side, and I'm going to make it tight. I'm gonna do a couple of repetitive steps so that you can see more in details. Okay, I'm gonna hold my yarn like this, tight. Take my yarn from here and pull the loop from the other side. Okay. So I demonstrated and measured my tail yarn to cast on 16 stitches. So I'm gonna cast on 16 stitches here and see how much how much accurate our measurement was. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna repeat it over and over so that you can see in more details. I'm gonna do it in slow motion as well. So pull your needle through here and pull a loop from here. Okay, pull a needle through here and pull it through here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So we need to do 3 more. Okay, 2 and 3. You guys, so make sure your work is not very tight. It is sturdy, but it's even and symmetrical like this. So I'm gonna see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So this is 16 stitches as we measured, and see we still have some spare tail yarn here. So we did a good measurement per our requirement. So I'm gonna move to the next cast on style, which is cable cast on. So let's begin. So now I'm going to start with my cable cast on. I have taken the same yarn and same needle for that. So in order to cast on through cable style, you do not need an extra spare tail yarn like for long tail cast on. You simply need to create a slip knot. So the easiest way to create a slip knot is wrap around your yarn and make a cross, and you can simply bring out the loop like this, or you can just wrap around your yarn like this. Okay, and bring your yarn over and pull like this and make it tight and put it in your needle. Both ways can work, as it's the same thing. It's just per your preference. So now I'm going to start with my cast on here. In order to cable cast on, we're going to pretend as if we are about to knit stitch. So we're going to insert our needle and pretend as if we are doing a knit stitch like this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in just for you can see. Okay, so I have pretended to do a knit stitch. So I'm not going to, after I've pretended and done this step, I am not going to release it. Instead, I'm going to twist my work and release my work like this. Okay, so this is our second step. First step was creating a slip knot. Second step was to create the second line here that I've shown, and the third step is going to be slightly different. Now we're going to have to insert our needle through 2 loops here, two stitches here. I'm sorry, it's 2 lines, right? And we're going to still pretend as if we are going to knit stitch. However, this is going to be slightly tight, so we are going to have to hold our yarn tightly, wrap around your yarn like this. And the best way to not have it tangled up and for it to come back for our stitches to roll over quickly, we're going to put some pressure in it and release some kind of a yarn, some yarn in here like this, so that we're able to easily pull off our work like this. And we're going to pull some extra yarn like this, and we're going to twist our work and release it. We want to make sure we don't want to make this very tight, otherwise it might be difficult for us to cast on the next stitch. So we're going to continue doing the same thing, continue the third step here. We're going to insert our needle through 2 lines here. Okay, wrap around. We're going to make sure we're going to release some yarn here so that it's easier for us to pull our work. See, it's very tight, so it can be difficult to pull the loop. So we want to put our finger here, press it, and now it's easily able to come off like that. I hope you're able to see it. I've zoomed the camera. Now we're gonna release some extra yarn, twist our work, and release our yarn like this. Okay, so this is how we do the cable cast on. This is pretty fun as you're knitting and creating the cast on all together. And this is much more flexible in terms of how many stitches you want to cast on. You don't have to measure already, like in the long tail cast on. We did wrap our yarn around in the needle to figure out how much yarn we need. So this cast on is pretty flexible, and you can cast on, you can keep going and cast on as long as you want, depending on your project. Suppose if you're trying to make a sweater, you might need more, and suppose you're just trying to create a coaster, you might just need less. So depending on that, I'm going to show you more in slow motion. We're going to repeat after step 2. We're going to repeat the step 3 over and over again to create our cast on stitches. Same thing, we're going to insert our needle through the 2 lines here, wrap around our yarn, and make sure we are putting some pressure in to release some yarn, so that and we're also pulling it tight so that we're able to release our stitch easily. And we're gonna release some extra yarn so that it's easier for us to twist and release in the next needle. Okay, this needle. So we're gonna do the same thing, guys. Make sure you want to make it loose so that it's easier, and your work is coming symmetrical. So I want to make sure I make this loose, and I do the same thing again. Insert my needle to 2 stitches. Wrap my yarn around, make sure this is tight, but I also put a lot of pressure in here so that I'm able to release my work. Sometimes it can get tangled, but you want to hold it tight like this and insert like this, pull some extra yarn, twist your work, and release it like this. It's the same thing. You're gonna get better as you get along. I mean, as you repeat the step, it can be tricky at times, because it can get tight. The stitches can get tight, and you can get frustrated because see, if I'm not tightening it much, you're not able to pull through like this. So it might, but it's not going to be as symmetrical as how I'm doing it right now. Making sure this is loose, and insert your needle through 2 lines here. Wrap my yarn around. Make sure I put the pressure in here and make this tight, and release my work. So I'm gonna do it again. Okay. So, and twist my work, and here we go. So this is an easy way to cast on. You can see this is coming symmetrical right here as I'm making my work loose, and making sure I'm repeating the same steps all over. I'm going to cast on 16 stitches, as similar to my long cast on style that I did prior, 4, 6, 8. So I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do this so that you just can reflect on and observe, just in case you're confused. But this is really fun. This is I really enjoy this type of a cast on, because you have the flexibility and you don't have to measure how much stitches you need, so you're able to go on forever. So we have so far 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now we're gonna do 4 more. So we have our 15 cast-ons. This is our last. So guys, I'm going to show you again. Insert your needle through 2 lines here. You wrap around your yarn. Make sure you put some pressure and release some extra yarn. And hope you're holding this working yarn tight. And pull through your loop. Make sure you pull some extra yarn out. Twist your work and you release your yarn like this. So here you go. My work, I can feel that my cast on is very loose and very symmetrical, and I'm able to knit stitch very nicely. Alright guys, let's move on to the next cast on style. The next cast on style is going to be a thumb method. This one is the most easiest compared to the last 2 that I have shown you. So I'm going to take the same yarn, same needle size, number 7. So to start with this type of a cast on with thumb method, it's similar to cable cast on. In the beginning, you don't need to take the whole extra yarn, tail yarn. You just need to create a slip knot. I've already shown you how you can create a slip knot. Okay. So I'm gonna insert this and make it tight. Now, I'm gonna make sure that this yarn, this working yarn is facing me, so I'm making it tight. Now this one is very easy and very basic. This is very easy to learn for the beginners. So let's start. So this is my working yarn. This is my slip knot. I'm gonna hold it like this. Now I'm gonna use my thumb. I'm going to use my thumb and wrap my yarn like this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in my video so that you can see. Okay, this is my working yarn that's coming from the yarn ball. I'm going to wrap my yarn like this. And as if I'm pretending to a knit stitch, I'm going to insert my needle like this and pull. Now, in this cast on, it's very free, so you want to make sure that your stitches are loose and not very tight. So yeah, so it's the same thing. I'm gonna do the same repetitive steps again. So I'm gonna wrap around my yarn with my thumb, and as if I'm pretending to do the knit stitch, pull like this, and you keep continue doing it. You just want to make sure that your stitches, your cast-ons are loose and symmetrical, so that it's easier for you to knit your projects. Similar to cable cast on, you can go on as long as you need your stitches. It's not like the long tail cast on where you have to measure it prior starting the cast on. So this is much more flexible and it's very easy. As you can see, it didn't take me a long time to just cast on these stitches here. I'm going to cast on 16 stitches, similar to my last two cast-ons. I'm going to show you more in slow motion just in case you are confused. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, 15, 16. I'm just going to take 2, 3 out and I'm going to cast on. So guys, make sure for this cast on, make sure your stitches are loose. You don't want to hold it very tight so that it is much more symmetrical and it's very easy for you to knit later. So wrap your yarn around like this as if you're pretending to a knit stitch. You need to insert your needle like this and pull through. Okay, this is going to be a 14 stitch. Now the same thing, wrap your yarn around with your thumb like this. Insert your needle as if you're pretending to do knit stitch and pull. Last one, insert your needle, pull through. Okay guys, so this one was very easy compared to the others, similar to my other cast on. So there you go. So this is 3 different ways you can cast on.